Oh, I love this. The Republicans have realized, oh, you know what? Oh boy, Trump might actually win. And if he does, we got to get ready. So the National Republican Senatorial Committee has decided they're going to put out a memo. Now, it was a secret memo until the Washington Post got its hands on it. And their executive director, Ward Baker, writes about, quote, the Trump phenomenon. And he says, let's be clear here, that Trump is often, quote, a misguided missile. And that he is, quote, subject to farcical fits, which sounds like some sort of dirty sitcom. Oh, farcical fits and misfit tits. I don't know. Anyway, so maybe I'm a child, which is entirely possible. Anyway, they get that the guy who might lead their party is prone to farcical fits and is a misguided missile. That's awesome. So they say, let's prepare and let's learn from him. Oh, that's interesting. They say that Trump has, quote, grabbed onto the best, and the Republicans should therefore likewise grab onto the best element of his anti-Washington populist agenda. Now, this is hilarious because this is a memo for Republican politicians who are all in Washington. This goes to the Washington establishment. It doesn't get any more establishment than a senator, a United States senator, okay? That's who it's being sent to. The whole memo reeks of, and you'll see it in the quotes here, let's trick these people at home into thinking you're a real person and that you care about them and that you're against Washington while you sit in Washington and soak up the luxuries of power. So the one thing we should learn from Trump is, hey, remember, we're populist. We hate Washington. Okay. And Ward Baker here makes it very, very clear. He says, Trump has risen because voters see him as authentic, independent, direct, firm, and believe he can't be bought. He emphasized that. He italicized that. And believe he can't be bought. These are the same character traits our candidates should be advancing in 2016. That's Trump lesson number one. I get two things out of that. I love that they say, like, now this is what you should be advancing while being bought. Because all these guys are collecting tens of millions, some of them hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign donations from the richest people and corporations in the world. They're all bought. They're like, but now remember, lesson number one is fake it. Okay, now the second part that I find even more interesting is, look at what the Republicans are getting out of it. The mainstream press is talking about the bigotry, as well they should, and we talk about it too, and it's very important, and all the other things that we think are appealing to Republican voters. But they believe, and I agree with them, that the number one thing that is appealing to Republican voters is that he's not bought. So, but the press, man, they almost never cover that. That's his secret weapon, that he doesn't have to take campaign donations. Even though Trump's a madman, he realizes what people are so angry about. Why can't we have a sane person that grabs onto that message and is honest about it? For example, the reason I say Trump isn't honest about it isn't because he's secretly taking a lot of donations. It's because he says he's not going to do anything about it. He just says, elect me, I'm the best, and then I'll win. Yeah, but that doesn't solve the situation. What's your plan for ending this legalized bribery? Just by being the best. No, that's not a plan, right? But you see it. Even the Republicans see it. People are pissed. They hate the corruption. They hate that somebody gets to give you $1 million check, and they know you work for them once you get the $1 million check. They're not stupid, right? And now internally Republicans know it as well. Now, they do have problems with Trump, though, including his comments on women. Here's how Baker describes that for the Republican senators. Quote, Houston, we have a problem. So that's fairly clear. And then what should they do about it? If asked about it, they should, quote, candidates shouldn't go near Trump's comments on women other than to say your wife or daughter is offended by what Trump said. God, I love how fake these guys are, okay, and how they teach each other how to be fake. So why do they frame it that way? One, I'm not, for you male voters out there, I'm not saying I'm against it, right? But for you female voters out there, remember, I care about women. Why? I have a wife, and daughters. Wife and daughters. And they're offended by what Trump said. Male voters? Yeah, I can't figure out why they don't like you anymore. Okay. Now, again, Baker comes back to the important point here. He's like, remember, promote tweets that push reforms or condemn Washington's dysfunction. You guys are Washington's dysfunction. The Republican senators, when they were in the minority, blocked every bill with a filibuster. They blocked them all. They said obstruction, obstruction. Now they're in charge. What bills have they passed? Nothing. Nothing. They are Washington's dysfunction. But remember to pretend not to be. Okay. Now, here's more tips on how to be appropriately fake. Quote, lose the suit. Tell your communications and media teams to up the vibe and change the look. You know, that stuffy Republican look with the that's not playing well anymore. Lose the tie. Yeah, oh, yeah, I want the people. Yeah. Right. Bunch of fakes. He goes on to say, voters are on to you when you do the standard walk and talk through a business, school, or factory. And who taught them how to do that walk and talk in the first place? You guys did. Republican leadership in Washington. Like, walk through a factory like you care. That'll mean that you're with the workers. Later, we bend them over. Okay. That part is another secret memo. Okay, so now they're like, oh, yeah, ooh, they're on to us. Yeah, that walk and talk through the factory, they know we're full of shit. Yeah, okay, indeed. Then more on appearances. Try a new look and have business owners, constituents, and family members and workers talk about you. Now, look, that's reasonable because I always found it awkward, and I think we all do, when politicians come out and they say, well, you know, I'm the best, and I'm here to protect you, and the other guy is disastrous, but I'm the best, and I'll serve you great. Except it works for Trump, of course. Oh, fantastic, I'm the best. But he's so over the top that it's kind of funny. Now, why is that a problem, though? Because it immediately leads to the next part, which I knew even before I read it. It says, featuring real people protects you from opposition attacks since real-world people are talking about real-world things you did for them. Now, you paid them as actors to say those things, so none of it is actually real, right? But it gives the appearance of reality. So trick people into thinking that these are real businessmen. And boy, I'll tell you, you know, Senator Johnson, he was great for my business and great for my workers. He rolls up those sleeves. He doesn't have that suit anymore. You want me to show you walking through the factory? No, he doesn't walk through the factory anymore. I tell you about how great he is. We're so real. Nothing about you is real, man. Okay, here we go. Speaking of which, this is my favorite one. Feature candidates working on an old engine and note how sometimes you have to do a complete overhaul to get things working. What the fuck are they doing with the engine? They're not mechanics. They're politicians. You think people are so stupid. You get like, oh, yeah, so I'm Senator Jablowski. I'm working on an old engine. Sometimes you got to retool the whole thing. You don't know a goddamn thing about engines. What are you doing with the engine? I mean, this is so stupid. And they, like, I mean, I guess they're better than if they had gone with another profession. Working on a toilet. I'm a plumber. Senator Jablowski here, plunging the toilet. Sometimes you need to just plunge the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Think they won't try that next? Anyway, yeah. You missed the whole point. The early part of the memo was about what Trump is doing right, which is that he isn't fake like you guys. He's a genuine lunatic, but he's genuine about it, right? And here you are, you're teaching people how to be fake in a better way. Let's be fake in a more authentic way. Working a fucking engine is not relevant at all. And get rid of the whole dysfunction in Washington, which we're secretly completely part of. Oh, you reek of fakeness. Okay, then have a constituent or citizen talk about the candidate cleaning up the mess in Washington as the candidate participates in street cleaning. I was kidding about the plumber, but they're not. Yes, at night, sometimes I'm a hobo, or I'm doing community service. God, they think you're so stupid. And then last one, just a quick little note. Sell optimism. Don't actually be optimistic. Sell optimism. I mean, that's perfect Republican framing. Are we going to do anything, Washington? Hell no. Okay. Are we going to uproot any of the problems? We are the problem. We're not uprooting anything, okay? No, we're going to have fake engines. We're going to have fake hobos sweeping the streets or whatever we're doing with the senators pretending to be real people. Yeah, there's a lot of street cleaners in America, right? And then people will relate to that. But like, that senator, man, sweeping the streets like Bob down the street. God, you guys wouldn't know real if it slapped you across the face. But at the end, remember, keep selling. Sell optimism.